Hey, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed that little video sequence of night photography, including the shots which were all taken on one roll of Kodak Vision 500T in my Nikon FE camera. So stick around for a little bit if you want to hear a little bit more about the technical side of things, which there isn't really much to, but I thought I'd just put this at the end in case you just wanted to watch the video and photo sequence. So Kodak Vision 500T, as you probably know, is a motion picture film, which I purchased in this case from an eBay seller, which was a pre-rolled 35mm canister of Vision 3500T, and it was developed in C41 chemistry. So it wasn't done in ECN2, but I was still really pleased with the results, especially after having done a test, which you may have seen in a previous video, which was called something along the lines of Kodak Vision 500T 35mm test. Through doing that, I found out a little bit about exposure, which reminded me that you do need to make sure you expose this film well. The importance is a lot more, I think, in the exposure and the scanning, for example, as opposed to the chemicals you develop it in. And I'm sure ECN2 probably provides even better results in terms of smoothness and contrast and whatnot. But I was pretty happy with these results. The only ones that weren't so good in my eyes were some of the underexposed shots. And that's because I was rating this film at 4 to 500. And in the beginning shots you saw there, some of them were on a tripod, so those ones that were really clean and clear with lots of shadow detail were either taken on the tripod or they might have been handheld in really well lit scenes. The shots I wasn't as happy with were underexposed ones, which looked quite grainy in comparison to those clean shots. But even then, I didn't quite mind those moody, gritty, grainy shots, especially in that second half of the video, which was in the city center, which was all handheld work. So the premise behind the whole thing was I just really felt like taking some night photos, especially after the lockdowns eased here in Melbourne, allowing us to go out and take photos just for fun again. And I really missed doing night photography, and the Nikon FE really works well for that sort of thing, especially having this 58mm Voigtlander Nokton f1.4. Fantastic lens for low light photography. I think I used this lens for all of the shots. There might have been a few taken on a 35mm or 28 even. But all of the stuff in the city, for example, in the second half was taken on this Voigtlander 58mm lens. And because I've upgraded the focusing screen in this Nikon FE, as I've mentioned in previous videos, it really helps with focusing in low light. And having the light meter built into this camera really helps with metering tricky scenes. But I tried to always err on the side of overexposure where I could. But as I mentioned, some of those shots where they were a little bit darker or grainier, I just didn't have enough light, shot them anyway, or I might have shot them at, say, a 30th of a second and had a little bit of roughness or motion blur, but they all worked out pretty well. So let me know what were your favorite shots in the video. I definitely came out with a few favorites, and it was just something fun for me to just get a little bit creative again now that we have that ability here to get back out and do stuff like that. So in terms of other technical details, the processing kit I used was the Unicolor C41 kit. I just processed the roll at regular C41 times. And my process for removing the remjet layer is I remove that first using just plain old bicarbonate soda and warm water. And I followed mostly the advice of Eduardo Pavez Goya, which I'll leave a card for that video up here. And it's really not as hard as you might think it is to remove the remjet layer. So if you are thinking of shooting Vision film, I definitely recommend it if you haven't done that yet. And then I dried the film, which I always do the same way I do with black and white film, using a mixture of distilled water with a bit of photo flow at the correct ratio to make sure I don't get any watermarks. And I came out with really clean negatives, which I then scanned using my Canon 5D Mark IV, which I'm filming on right now, the Essential film holder, and converted them in Negative Lab Pro's latest version, which gave me fantastic results straight off the bat. Didn't really need to change much. I just left it on the auto color profile or setting with the lab standard option, and I didn't really need to do much at all. I think there were just a few photos where I maybe increased the magenta a little bit or just sort of added a tiny bit of contrast, because the well-exposed negatives came out with plenty of dynamic range and detail. Some of the shots I might have messed around with the cinematic rich option on Negative Lab Pro, but I'm loving the latest version. It's giving great results, and it combines really well with Kodak Vision film especially. Even though I processed it in C41, I'm quite happy with these results. I would definitely do it again, but I am looking to experiment with ECN2 processing in the future, maybe even do a comparison somewhere down the track. But my advice to you, if you're looking to shoot this film, is make sure you expose it well. And if you want that safety net, maybe even set your light meter to 200 or 250 or something like that, just to make sure you give the film plenty of light. Don't let your light meter be tricked by bright point highlights in the background, which can really throw off your exposure. And I think it even happened to me a few times on this roll. So that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Definitely encourage you to try Kodak Vision film if you haven't before. I've got a link in the description to the Discord server, which I encourage you to join. We're going to start doing meetups here in Melbourne again. And if you're new to the channel, thanks for watching. Check out some of the other videos if you're interested in this sort of stuff. And I'll see you in the next one.